Hi, welcome to episode number 6 of the Better Conversations podcast. We speak to the leaders of today so that the leaders of tomorrow can be inspired, enriched, and better than those who came before them. Today, I am with Dionysis Svoronos, who is a top 50 writer on leadership on the platform Medium. Alongside his viral articles that have inspired many, he leads transformational projects in telecommunications, as well as loving to learn new things. Hi, Dennis, how are you?
Hello, Tavian. Thank you. I'm very well. How are you? And thank you very much for the invitation.
No worries. I'm really inspired to speak to you, and I'm doing really well as well. To get straight into it, I guess, I know one of the first things that you say as part of a significant moment in your life is becoming a leadership top writer on Medium. Would you like to take me through that journey and also pull out some of the lessons that you learned from that?
Yeah, I would love to. And it's something that I haven't yet talked about it. It started from an internal goal. So I've always loved learning. I always loved having a growth mindset, exploring new ideas, new theories, and how to put them in practice, how to put them into action. So I was reading books. I have been reading books. I have been doing seminars. I have been discussing with people from business, from the business world, from the corporate environment, and I always took notes. And having a very, let's say, scientific background, I have an academical background in physics. I took notes in a bullet form, you know?
Yeah.
So it was really easy to understand, but only for me.
Yeah.
And then something strange happened. I started discussing with people these ideas that I've been learning and I'm putting into practice. And I've been starting connecting with different people. So I was speaking about these ideas and I was transforming without consciously knowing these notes that I have into another format, like a more spoken, let's say, oral form on how to communicate to other person. And this kept going for several months. Then I started writing in a more free way, not so with bullets, not so with 1, 2, 3, but rather like in a more storytelling way to find more appealing for the other person to hear my story and then exchange and connect. And then it came to me. So why if I took this connection and make it more public? What if I expose myself? What if I try to connect with people outside my closed and safe environment, but outside in the world? And, you know, as you do a lovely job with your podcasts and this world of internet has too many opportunities for us. I say, let's do it. Let's start writing. So I started writing first for myself. And then the pandemic hit and it was a time for us to reflect and see what we are doing. And I found it really creative that time to excel my writing. So I took my some writing skills seminars, how to write in a modern way, in an interesting and a compelling way for the people. And I wrote some articles. I didn't publish them. I was very stressed and I was afraid of the public opinion and what people would say about it. But I took a leap of faith. And I published my first one. And as all things that we worry about, it was really better than what I was afraid of. So I'm a person who put goals, and I put goals like to write some articles per year. And I put also a moonshot goal of becoming a leadership, not a leadership, but a top writer in some of the topics. I write around soft skills, project management, digital transformation, agile. So these things that are around also leadership a lot. And I put a moonshot and I say I want to become a top writer in the Medium, the most renowned platform for writers and articles, about like 3 to 4 years. And amazingly enough, some articles got viral, and then I got an email from the Medium, from the platform, and told me that, you know what, you are a leadership, top writer, leadership. It was amazing. It was such a joy for me and such a turning point because it was something that I did it all by myself. You know, yourself also, you're doing podcasts, and you know how much difficult and how much you need to love the process in order to do it.
Yeah.
So for this to happen, it was like an amazing feeling. It felt like a sort, American dream, if I can say it this way, because I worked on it all by myself, and in a situation that it was like difficult and challenging, but something great happened and something like that, and I got this achievement, and it gave me so much strength to keep moving forward, coming here to your podcast and preparing some also next steps around sharing my business perspective to people.
Yeah. I mean, that's really interesting. And I think one of the first things I want to, I guess, ask you is, how did you actually find the confidence to become public and put your skills out there on show, especially after taking the journey of learning for so long and just taking bullet points for yourself?
Well, to tell you the truth, Damian, it was difficult because in my early years of my career, mostly college, I was like a perfectionist. And there's a joke that perfectionism is the best weakness to have, but it's not like this. It's very, very mental consuming, and it's at the end of the day, I do believe that it's one of the biggest weaknesses to have because you do not have, or you need to cultivate a sense of self-respect, a sense of self-esteem, a sense of self-confidence to put yourself out to the public in this, for example, example, and expose yourself and see what will the people say about your perspective. And it's really frightening. It really got me chills, and but eventually I did it. I had some close friends that really supported me on this. It was really helpful and supportive. And to tell you the truth, I only got but a few, let's say, haters comments, which is usual. Okay, and it's you expect them at the end of the day from social media and internet. It's how things work. And I was ready and prepared myself to collect the feedback, and even from the hateful comments, find out why this person said that, or or improve or forget it, whatever. And it's a process of growing. So I don't believe, at least for my case, that I was ever 100% ready. I just took the chance when I felt it was like a risk that I can have under control, and that's it. Until then, you have to take the risk.
Yeah, so it's about sort of taking the risk, and I think this leads really nicely into your second significant moment, which is around, having the mental strength to carry on going. Would you like to tell me a little bit of the story behind that?
Yeah, so I don't know if you remember, maybe you're younger than me, but some years ago, there was, like, I believe around 10 years ago, it was a fashion, I would call it the business fashion, to be relentless. Like constantly working, constantly getting better, constantly listen to more podcasts, more books, more webinars, more. And that's good, okay? That's effective. That's how you grow. That's how you become more efficient. But this fashion didn't take into account the organization. And the organization in this growing process is ourselves. How we, as a whole being, are ready to adapt to these situations, to cultivate ourselves to be better. In an analogy to the physical exercise that we go to and lift weights in a gym. So when we lift weights, our muscles break. Let's say it very simplistic. So we need to go back to our house and take some really healthy and good food for our muscles to grow, and a good night's sleep. Of course, a lot of water as well. So it's the process of the restoration that increases our muscle growth and becomes healthier. If we do not follow the restoration process, our body will break down. So that the same happens with the mind as well. If you go on a relentless process without taking care of yourself, like what do you eat, how do you wake up, which people do you have around you, because you cannot control other people's behaviors, other people's emotions. In a very interesting research I always have in my mind, it says that you are the average person of the 5 closest people in your circle. And that's statistics. That's not like a reason and a factual, let's say, argument. It's like it's pure what it is. So things like that you cannot control, things that happens automatically, it's things that you should take care of yourself. So at the start of my career, I came across an equation of effectiveness, which is said like events plus reactions equals outcome. So this is about very close to Stoic philosophy and the Hellenistic period of this time, about things that you can't control, so you need to have courage for them, things that you cannot control, so you have to accept them, and wisdom to take the difference. In this equation, though, we miss the organization. So it's events plus reaction plus organization equals outcome. Because if you don't have a sustainable organization, you cannot follow the other two elements. So mental strength is very important. I'm really glad that I belong in a generation that companies and organizations, and now I mean organizations like companies, understand that. There are many interesting seminars to do, like Search Inside Yourself, which is sponsored by Google. And there are topics about it. People talk about mental health, talk about meditation, talk about yoga, talk about things that make us be healthy and better, how we can also communicate better, how we can be more active listeners, how we can talk with empathy. So stuff like that increase our mental strength, increase our resilience. And I really believe that in the next years to come, the two most important skills will be adaptability and resilience. Because we have so many different triggers, events that are happening in our life, that we need to stay focused in what is important. And to do that, we need to adapt and we need to be resilient. So we need to take care of our organization.
I'm going to ask quite, I guess, an interesting question to spin off on that then. So how would you sort of advise people to build those two skills of adaptability and resilience in their time of restoration?
So you know what, Tavian? Advice is not like a word that I'm too fond of, because to advise you need to know the other person's history, background, wishes, experiences, and practically this is impossible. So what I believe into is coaching and into guidance. So what I would say that there are good ideas to search and develop in order to improve your mental resilience is, first of all, to know yourself. Like, what are your values? Why are you doing what you're doing? Do you search for an income to have, let's say, to satisfy your basic needs? Do you want a higher income because you have, let's say, more elevated needs? Do you need to support a family? Do you do it because you love your job and you love why you're doing it? Do you do it in order to take money so that you can afterwards create a job that you love or a habit that you want to have? And what are you willing to sacrifice for all that? And I don't mean only, let's say, bad habits, like bad habits. Okay, let's label it bad habits. Not like every person is accountable of the choices that he or she makes. But let's say smoking or staying out at night, or heavy alcohol consuming and stuff like that. I'm also talking about sacrifices that are maybe good. Maybe some people need to sacrifice some friends' time or some family time, or they love to go trips, or they love to stay at their village or at their city. So there are too many different perspectives, and what works for me won't necessarily work for you. So first, the point is find out why you do what you do, what are your values, search inside for them, and start connecting them with what you need to do tomorrow in order to keep being authentic, like authenticity with these values. And then afterwards, as a second step, you need to identify the relationships. What are your people around you? How you communicate with them? How they communicate with you? How do they affect you? If many things, and trying to study about it, learn about it, and practicing different ways. Not having, let's say, a very focused perspective, but keep yourself open to different ideas, stuff like that. That we all know it, but it's very difficult to practice it at the end of the day. So that's what I would say, that it depends on the first to each and every one of us, and how we can learn more about ourselves, how we can increase our self-awareness.
Thanks. And I guess the final significant moment you speak about in your career is reading your first business book, and I don't want to take too much away from the story. So would you tell me a little bit about how that impacted your life?
So when I was in a point in my career after I took my master's degree, I decided that I want to follow a career in the business area, the business management, and more specifically in the technology. And there was a talent trainee program that I participated into, the telecommunications that many people like in your age and expertise, academical expertise around take participants, and you go like into practical assessments and stuff like that. And I was totally out of the business. I worked in a business environment like in a startup, but in a traditional organization, totally out of it. And the dynamics between the people are very, very interesting, I would say. So I said to myself, I need to know that better. I need to position myself in the interviews in a way that I am valuable to them. And Dale Carnegie, a writer which is considered like a classical influencer of his time, and had a very nice quote who said that the most important fact of our work and how effective we are is about how we communicate, how we negotiate, and how we lead with and others, and not in the technical expertise. So it really popped my mind. I say, what? I'm working and I'm studying so hard on technical expertise, and it's not important. It's like the human skills that I would like to call them. And but I heard it. And I say, okay, let's see what this person has to say. And I got his book, How to Make Friends and Influence People, and it was wow. I read it twice. I studied it even more. I was taking notes, and I said, like, what this persona that Dale Carnegie describes in his book will do in these interviews. So when I did that, I had success. My ego wants to believe that it had more than that, and I had some really skills behind it. But I think it really supported me at the end of the day, and that's the power. That's the power of learning. In another book, I don't remember now the author, but it says that you need only 3 books to become expert in a field. Even if this is not correct, but maybe it is. Let's not discuss about it now. But even if it's not correct, the influence that you can have from studying and putting them into practice, because sometimes we make the mistake that we collect books or we collect and they read books, but we do not make a difference, do not make a change after the end of the book. For me, it's huge. It's huge. And this first book I read, and all the path afterwards, it kept coming. And I kept learning and learning and learning. And I know that sometimes I will take up the next opportunity, the next chance to deliver value through my learnings. It's not a one-to-one equation. You don't know beforehand what you read, where it will be helpful, but having different perspective, having different knowledge from different fields, wow, you can do really amazing stuff there. And I believe that's a nice skill to have.
Great. And I guess as we're coming to the end of the podcast, I guess it would be really good to answer the question that we always ask at the end, which is, what would you advise your younger self?
Yeah. Again, I would say that I would guide him. I don't know. Maybe it's something. Maybe I have a childhood trauma around advice. I don't know why I'm so so careful and protective of it. But okay, let's go through guidance. And I will sit down with my younger self, and I will tell him to have patience, to find his pace, and listen to his heart, and have always in his mind how fast he wants to go and how patient he needs to have. Because we need to have a lot of patience when we study things, when we learn new things. We do not know where this would be helpful. We all prefer to go out with a drink with our friends, or go like to cinema, or I don't know. And at the end of the day, it's very important that trying to find out when to accelerate and when to practice patience.
Yeah.
And so most of the times you're not alone in this one. You are with other people with who they have their own pace, their own rhythm, which you need to respect, and you also need to influence.
Yeah.
First of all, you need to understand yourself and the others, their pace, the rhythm, why you want to go fast, communicate that, stuff like that. So we live in a world that is changing so fast that we cannot comprehend it. We only understand the surface of it. So it's very important to understand when to focus and go deep, and then deaccelerate the things so that you can consume, you can stay, and also keep yourself and organization, as we said before, healthy and sustainable. And then accelerate. When you want to do something in the microenvironment, have a sense of urgency. Do not take anything for granted. Do not go like complacent, but think how you can make this happen, like in a proactive and responsible way. Okay, now we're talking about, let's say, maybe I broaden up a bit, so I will take a step back and say that patience, and that I would say, and I would try to guide my younger self to do. It's also a matter of, age. So when we are young, we want to go real fast, and we do not see too much of the environment. And it's an ever growing process. Okay, I'm still trying to figure out, like, the most conversation I'm having with myself. It's about, should I go fast here? Should I push things, or should I take a step back? And it's a constant improvement. And as much as you cultivate it, I think it's becoming more and more helpful.
Thank you very much, and thank you so much for your time today, Denise. I'll ask you one question: where can people find you so they can sort of,
Thank you. Thank you for the talk, Kevin. It was lovely talking to you. Thanks again for the invitation. Many wishes to have a great podcast, and really initiatives like that are really helpful in our environment.
Yeah.
So people can find me, of course, in Medium. I post an article once per week, and around topics, as we said, project management, digital transformation, soft skills, human skills better. Okay, let's keep that. And of course, leadership. They can find me on LinkedIn. And please send me a message, everyone. I will answer to everyone. I really like to connect with people and give my 2 cents of value to them. And I'm also preparing a webinar, a MOOC, a massive online open course. It's going to be out at 2023. So first quarter, probably. We are right now in the recording process, and we are going to be ready. So I think that they can find links at your site directly where this product is being found. And once again, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much. And you will just listen to another Better Conversation, and we hope to see you next time. Thank you.